Alright guys, welcome back to the Monthly Cup. We have the grand finals of the last Monthly Cup of this year, and it's Lu 90, who's surprised, versus Masaka representing Japan. Now this is gonna be a crazy match because this is actually a big moment for Lu. This is his last opportunity to win a Monthly Cup, and he could forever second, or he could be a champion here, who knows. But you actually mentioned to me in the break a very interesting thing about Masaka's name.
Yeah, so I actually just saw this pop up in the Twitch chat. Somebody said it, so I have no way to actually verify if this is true or not. But you know, the conversation was even before that third place series started. Like, could this be the one where Lu actually wins? And then somebody said that's funny because Masaka is Japanese for kind of the phrase "could it be?"
Could it be?
It's almost fated that would be the matchup here in the grand finals. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. But that was what I saw in the chat there.
Man, like, I think this is prophecy. You know, this is the Faeria prophecy. Can Lu, the prophet, fulfill his destiny, or will Masaka take a win for Japan to finish the year off going strong into 2019? Let's get into the match and see who wins.
Yeah, both these players been waiting now through the third place match. They're ready to get into the grand finals. Masaka, of course, we've talked about playing in just his second monthly cup after being eliminated in the first round last month. Now all the way to the grand finals. And Lu, of course, will it be always a bridesmaid, or will he finally break through and win his first monthly cup into game number one, which I believe that we know will be kind of, as we've seen throughout the course of the day, a green-yellow sack mirror.
Now, we saw probably one of the most interesting mirrors of all time in the third place match, where we had the two armies standing at the bridge, sending one guy over at a time to take care of things. And Last Nightmare actually played a huge role, combined with the mobility, in finding a win with the Soul Eater. Now, this could play out the same way. Maybe both of these players watched that match and thought, oh, actually, I could win the game if I do this. Or maybe we'll see more proactive play like we did from Lu when he took on Mr. T.
Yeah, and the movement has been something that's kind of debated in Green Yellow Sack for quite some time. Kind of every time that we saw that sacrifice, we had an expectation of what most of the cards were in it. We didn't know if we were going to see any of the big removal like Last Nightmares, if it was going to be creature removal in the way of Shaitan Assassins, and then if we would see things like the Fnatic or Flash Winds, or at a time it was Sagami Grove Callers for the movement. This now seems like Sack has moved to a very refined list.
And Flash Salmon, Iona Smile, like, both of these cards play off each other. Flash Salmon's such a fantastic card anyway. Gives those Bone Collectors the Flash Salmon sandwich, you know, the +1/+1 in the cycle. And, you know, being able to dig deeper into your deck and play defensively at the same time is such a great thing for a control deck to have. You know, accelerating their win condition through the sacrificing, but also draw more cards. And speaking of Iona Smile, 2 Flash Salmons picked up. Opportunity to use one as a way to empower the Bone Collector. Maybe just drop the Skyak as a defender, kind of like the Skyak barrier we see these days in these sack lists.
Yeah, very similar cards coming out for both players. Just going to be that movement of the Fnatic for Masaka versus the Salmons if Lu chooses to use those as removal. But for now, I would expect we probably just see the Skyak come down and the Demon Wrangler sacrifice it, start buffing up this Bone Collector. You know, we saw how important that was earlier. The Bone Collector rolling early in the game, it can just snowball out of control.
Yeah, the old triple sacks. You might see one during a match. I'm pretty sure Alvar pulled off about 6. To be fair, Mr. T got the one he needed. He got the one, you know,
He looked at it and went, hey, that looks cool. I want to do that.
Yeah. I'll do that. I don't think it'll match the 6, but it's cool. And Bone Collector already, you know, getting its money's worth. And 2 5/2s on the right-hand side to defend against the Demon Wing and the Skyak, with the Demon Wrangler on the left to start collecting Faeria.
Yeah, and that far side collection is something that can be very important throughout the course of a game. Of course, Misaka already has that developed with his Demon Wrangler. We'll have to see if he goes for a second Wrangler here, and then get the flying of that Demon Wing, continue to push up the board without needing to rely on the lands. But now into the double collection, Misaka's starting to get a little bit more of an economy control.
Yeah, and he wants the Skyak to die. And if it trades off a Demon Wing, that's even better. You know, Demon Wings are more high value than Skyaks because of the ability that Skyak has. I might even just sack it here. Or maybe just sack the Demon Wrangler so he doesn't need to develop any more lands into the wells, and then can continue to build defensive lands, which might allow for more movability around his orb or his bone collectors, but decides to pass.
First Soul Eater now found by Lu, but only a 3/3. Don't expect that it'll be played really anytime soon. Flash Salmon's still a possibility, but generally you'd want them to be in a position where you can get their deaths to impact the Bone Collector, and without just going for a flat cycle, I don't see that being the play. So maybe we just see a little more passive and both players waiting like we've seen in some of the earlier series.
So I'm wondering if it's worth waiting for additional Bone Collectors before playing the Flash Salmons to cycle. Because the more value you get the more Bone Collectors, the more of a threat they become in the late game, as we saw Alvar utilize his Bone Collectors perfectly. So I don't know, I think I like that. I think a lot could be taken away from the previous match, the previous mirror. And that's one way I think you can leverage the board, get those Bone Collectors with a lot of value.
Another possibility of it is just wait a turn. Misaka currently looks like he's going to continue to move up the board. You're probably going to move that Skyak up to double collect. And that means that then next turn, now having played a salmon, this isn't a possibility anymore, but next turn Lu could have gone for using 2 salmons and the Bone Collector. Both salmons clearing off the Skyak and the Bone Collector would have actually got buffed from both. Now neither of them cycle, so it looks like he values the card draw rather than using them to clear.
Yeah, I think the card draw is a bit more valuable in the early game because you want to make sure you have the answers to your opponent's question. So if a Soul Eater comes down, you have the Shaitan Assassin, and both players are going to want access to that. And Salmon, of course, are making it much easier to access those cards. And we do see the Demon Wrangler getting cleared off here. I don't think that's the best use of a Flash Salmon, personally.
I don't mind it in this situation to deny that far side collection from your opponent. Lu has the rest of his forces up in the top right here, and now with the second Demon Wrangler coming down, that's a Demon Wing, a little bit more power onto the left side. Misaka now really, at least for the time being, controls the left side of the board regardless of what happens on the right.
Quad collection is definitely a possibility going forward here. Now, Demon Wings can be used with the Origin Fanatic to clear out the entire right side, and then maybe put a creature onto the left side. Could get 1 power up on the Bone Collector from 1 Demon Wing going down. So that could be a reasonable thing to go for now, and then maybe cycle the Flash Salmons on top of the Bone Collector. But this could be a long game. I mean, I think it's hard to judge, like, how long do you hold on to your resources? You know, how much value do you try and get out of them?
So there is a very big Bone Collector play here. You can place a desert directly below the Bone Collector, play both of the Flash Salmons ahead of time, and move 1 in between the wells, 1 just down 1 space, and then Fanatic your Bone Collector down a space, use both the Salmons to attack into the Demon Wing, and the Bone Collector will pick up both of the buffs.
Ooh.
It gets a
spicy.
lot of power into that 1 card, and it's very far away from your opponent. But if that forces some form of a reaction, maybe it's worth going for.
So what are it looks like, I think he was highlighting the Demon Wing, but decided to go for the Flash Salmon Campfire here. And then gonna Fanatic over the Demon Wing, to trade off with Demon Wings, and then just take the cycle. Maybe use the other Salmon to zip across. Nope, just gonna take the 1, picks up another Bone Collector.
Yeah, so it doesn't go for the big play onto the Bone Collector. It, of course, does pick up the extra buff from the Salmon, but 6/8. Now, that line to me looks like Lou is going to plan to win through the Soul Eaters rather than start pushing this Bone Collector, regardless of how big it gets, up the board. It's going to be more of the defensive option. Probably we'll see it start to maybe move across the board since all of Masaka's creatures are over on the left. But to me, that signals that Lou just says, okay, I'm going to have to win through Soul Eater rather than the slow-moving Bone Collector, getting it up the board just one square at a time.
A little curious with the Demon Wing move here. I think he's going for the Fanatic play. Or maybe he's not going to bother. Maybe he's just going to Tiki Caretaker and save the Fanatic for a little bit later. Fanatics are pretty valuable. And go for the Skyak as the blocker and get the second Skyak, and now that the other Skyak on the right-hand side was cleared. So really aggressive here from Masaka. Completely different to what we saw in the third place match.
Yeah, a full surround on the Bone Collector, always good to go for. Lou picks up that second Soul Eater now, could go for one, and then he's going to have the Faeria to go for another on the turn after if it gets cleared. It really just depends on how he wants to play it out from here.
And, Luid's really getting bullied in this matchup. Masaka just pushing his advantage, claiming the initiative, claiming the board control, trying to take Lu out quick rather than go for the long game that both players tried to achieve in the third place match. And I think I quite like it because I think Lou was opting for the defensive play, maybe thinking Masaka would do the same, and then Masaka was like, nope, I'm going in, and you're going to have to stop me.
Yeah, this is quite aggressive for a green-yellow sack. Generally, these are decks that we almost expect to see the type of matchup that we saw in the third place, where both players are playing really slow, really calculated in their clears, rather than this style where Masaka is just pushing up the board. He's saying, I know what your deck has in it, and it doesn't have any form of AoE that can pick up value on all of these small creatures. So I'm just going to push them up the board.
What a fantastic line there from Lou. Everything lined up perfectly. Really planned this out, getting the double Flash Salmon power up on the Bone Collectors, moving his Bone Collector out of position, away from Masaka's units, and then a 10-10 coming down to defend it as well. So great line there from Lou. It would get punished pretty hard by like a Last Nightmare Fanatic, but I think this is the best he had.
When the final Skyak picked up for Masaka here, he can trade in his one currently on board and then play the big swing, the 4 Skyaks. Having that Fanatic in hand, there actually was a possibility where you can clear off. I guess he could still go for it. You can actually clear off the the Soul Eater here by using your Demon Wrangler with the movement from the Fanatic. And then that Bone Collector gets really big and you go for the full surround of the Skyaks. It's looking pretty good for Masaka, to be honest.
Yeah, looking fantastic so far. You had the option of Fanatic on the Demon Wing to kill the one Bone Collector instead, and like keep a few more forces on the board. But I really like this. This is such a good play.
The unfortunate part of going for the Flash Salmon here is that you block a pretty good spot for a Skyak to get that full surround for your Bone Collector, but maybe you just don't think it matters in this position. Of course, you want to play all of them away from the big Bone Collector of Lou, that 7-9 on the far side, so he goes for that, but still would have had to develop a land, so I wonder if you could have gone for that, the most backwards Skyak, the one directly in the middle of the board, just up one space.
Yeah, he would, if he develops a land this turn, he can't Soul Eater. Like, Soul Eater is going to be the most powerful play going forward, but even as an 11-11, I think the problem is it gets cleaned out quite easily by a combination of the Skyaks or the Fanatic. Oh, actually, all the Skyaks and the Fanatic will be enough to kill the Soul Eater, and then the Bone Collector, the 8-10, belonging to Masaka, can finish off that little Bone Collector that's gone in and cleared a Skyak. So we're going to play it in a more defensive position here, outside of reach of that Fanatic.
An 11-11 Soul Eater is not going to be enough, and that actually means that Lou is just kind of running out of options this far into the game. It's the second Soul Eater that's looks like it's going to get cleared right away here because the Bone Collector is going to continue to get buffed. And Misaka can reinforce with a Shaitan Assassin to deal with the other Bone Collector. I think this is going to be his game to win just through one big Bone Collector rather than through Soul Eaters.
Yeah, Soul Eaters haven't even showed up yet, and we've had a lot of Yaks die so far. I'm curious to see how he goes about this, because the Deepwood Stalker actually represented a power-up for the Bone Collector. If he'd ran a Skyyak in like now, and then gone for the Deepwood Stalker next to the Bone Collector. But one thing to consider is the Soul Eater is going to gain +1/+1 due to the... actually, this works out fine, because now this pushes his Bone Collector up to 12 attack, which can answer this Soul Eater.
Yeah, the unfortunate part of this movement is it runs right into range of Lu's big Bone Collector. Now, it is the last creature on board for Lu, but it does represent killing it, whereas I think you could have played around a little bit of a different way and got the Shaitan Assassin in between them, and then you have that as your clear and just protect your big investment. I believe this basically resets the board.
I think one thing that's in Misaka's favor here, if the Bone Collectors do trade off, Misaka still has a double collector on the left-hand side and an assassin to challenge anything big that comes down. But now the Wind Soldier is here. The 8/10 is going to go into the assassin, or the assassin is going to go into it. And yeah, like you said, it kind of resets things a little bit, unless Misaka finds himself a Soul Eater.
Yeah, the Skyyaks are going to be able to come down and fully surround the Bone Collector. However, the Assassin's still going to be able to punch through thanks to the second Skyak, the final Skyak there for Misaka. Even just with the Deepwood Stalker as well, going to be able to punch through and actually clear this Bone Collector. But for what's currently on board, this looks like Lu could have defended it a little bit. But yeah, it looks like we're just going to... I mean, it is still reset that extra little bit.
Oh, but that beautiful sound comes down. And the last
Perfectly
land
timed.
Can be built now. Last forest that's needed. Clear out the Bone Collector, clear out one of the Skyaks, and drop the big boy in a very aggressive position.
Yeah, and that should spell the end here. Should be the win for Misaka. Lu's biggest creature has been cleared. His economy is in shambles, at least compared to Misaka's. And a 17-17 coming down, along with the Deepwood Stalker to clear Lu's final creature. All the control in Misaka's favor.
And this is complete contrast to what we saw in the third place match. First place match was, let's get our armies on the front lines. We're gonna wait. We're gonna go in and try and find that win over a long, drawn-out game. But then, this game, in comparison, Misaka just took the initiative and seized it and went in, and that's a Shamanic Dance. Oh my goodness! Well, it's not a card you see very often in any deck.
No,
really.
that's very interesting. I mean, you would expect it in something like a green-blue enchantment, but even then it's, very rarely seen in that type of a list. But very interesting to see it come out here in green-yellow sack. Oh, I really would have preferred him not to play it and keep it as an unknown. Lu just got a big chunk of information having seen Misaka play that card.
Yeah, there was nothing that was clearing up the Soul Eater. He'd have to, Soul Pact into the last Nightmare, so... Misaka, unfortunately, giving a bit of information away there to Lu, but maybe it won't be relevant. We'll see.
And there it is. Misaka with the victory takes game number 1 here. Is this going to be, where the mind games start to play, the psychological aspect starts to play into Lu? He's been second so many times, and he loses game number 1.
It's not looking good to start off with, and I just think Misaka played that so well. He took the initiative. He did complete opposite to what was seen in the third place match, and maybe that caught Lu off guard.
Now, Lu does have a burn list, and that is what he's going to bring out, kind of the standard response. It's this creature focused. You're looking at clearing all of their weaker creatures in efficient ways that still burn your opponent down, and you just reduce that life total as quick as possible. And yeah, we should have kind of expected this as Lu's response.
How does Green Yellow Sack even win this matchup. It's a defensive deck by nature, but contesting a combat burn deck on the front lines is, well, you still take the same amount of burn damage, you just take it quicker. I guess like a big Soul Eater, but getting to that big Soul Eater is usually at the expense of your life because your opponent's either removing stuff or maybe sacking triggers a Bloodsinger. So it's very difficult, I feel, for the green-yellow sack player to actually win this game.
Yeah, the kind of two conditions would be you're playing more of a ramp style that's running something like, the Earthcrafts, that sort of thing, and you're able to get your Soul Eaters as quick as possible, even if they're only like a 6/6. Sometimes red can still struggle to deal with that. The other option is exactly what we're seeing here. These Bone Collectors get rolling early. Lou very smartly didn't use the Cypher's Wrath onto the Skyak early on his last turn there, because that would have buffed the Bone Collector, and you were hoping for something like Ground Shaker, Cypher's Wrath to kill off the Bone Collector. But yeah, these Bone Collectors, if they get rolling, they're going to be just as hard for Lou to deal with. And then you're going to combo into the Soul Eaters. That's a possibility for Misaka to win this game.
And I like that he's pushing them up. He's making sure that one of these Bone Collectors gets in aggressively. He does need to get to that orb and start pushing damage. Lou is not going to allow that. He has a lot of defensive options in forms of removal, but also in forms of combat creatures. And actually, we're seeing tempo Skyaks come out after that sacrifice. 2 Skyaks going in.
The Skyaks as aggressive as possible. Of course, the sacrifice, the Demon Wing gets an aggressive position. The Bone Collector being moved up, like you just mentioned. But yeah, the Skyaks played in aggressive positions. I think you're knowing, especially if you've been watching the stream, you've been seeing what your opponent was playing throughout the course of the day. You know that this is a red-yellow burn. You know that there aren't Firestorms in here, so you don't have to worry about, flooding the board and losing value to that. So yeah, Misaka just like we saw last game, trying to end the game as quickly as possible.
And, the killing the Demon Wing here is actually super important, because that was one of the cards that can just completely clean out this Grimguard, but the Fanatic have tremendous influence. You can push. Well, actually, do you use the Bone Collector here, or do you just use the Skyaks?
I think he missed a potential of using the Demon Wrangler in the bottom corner, stepping up one space and using the Demon Wrangler in hand to sacrifice first.
Ah, I see. Yes,
and then you would have had... No, I think you would have blocked your deserts for that, so you wouldn't have had the desert to play the Fanatic.
No, that's true.
He's kind of one short on everything. He was one desert short for just having the creatures in the right spots. He's one Faeria short for playing the Village Elder as a sacrifice target instead, and that still puts you one desert short for the Fanatic. But yeah, he's going to have to step up the Bone Collector here. I would expect you probably use the Skyaks instead now.
Yeah, I think you just use all of them, right?
That's a 6/8 Bone Collector. As much as you've taken more damage, that still pushes a lot. He goes for the other clear with the Bone Collector instead, and that pushes 3 damage this turn. So interesting that that's the choice to go for it that way.
A 6/6 is actually a big deal right now. It's very difficult to answer. The grappling hook is very interesting, actually, because the Kaleem's training grappling hook now allows this... Oh, we could just go in instead and then use the grappling hook on the... to shoot the Skyak. Very nice. And look how much life Misaka has remaining. Oh my goodness.
Out of almost nowhere, Lou just pulls all of this burn. I was actually looking at going for clears there, clearing the Bone Collector with the Shed and Brute, just because that 4 lined up perfectly. I was almost considering using the grappling hook to clear the Fanatic on the far side and move the Grimguard up onto the right. But yeah, this is so perfect for Lou. He gets that defensive to stall the aggression of the Bone Collector, as well as burn your opponent down. And there's just no way to deal with the Shed and Brute here without taking at least 4 damage from it and setting yourself into lethal range.
Yeah, inevitability's caught up to our friend here, Lou. Misaka, sorry. He's going to have to, I think, just throw the towel in on this one. It's a bad matchup anyway. And I guess the nice thing for Masaka going forward is he got the first win. So now he can line any potential counter decks that he has up against this burn. Now we do know there's some form of red combat available to Masaka, and the third deck, like, that could be the mystery deck that has a better matchup against this burn list.
Yeah, anticipating that we've seen green yellow sack and we know that it's a red deck of some sort, I would guess the third from Masaka is probably a green blue ramp, more likely than something that's a mono green. That's a red green's probably used most of its cards, and then something like a blue jump. I think you probably just go with the green blue ramp instead. So I would anticipate that is his lineup, and I probably anticipate that that's what we see come out here instead of a red mirror. Depending if it is burn. If it's burn, then maybe he goes for the mirror match.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, if it's mono red, you could have access to stuff like Bomb Slinger, for example. But no, it's going to be a blue-green ramp, I would imagine. Could be red-green ramp. We have seen it today. But I'd be surprised if it was. So throwing those away, getting a lot of land ramp to start things off. It could even be mono green with Sky Whales. I have seen it before.
Yeah, it could just be mono green. Generally, we don't see Earthcrafts in this type of decks because you already have wood elementals and water elementals. That's a lot of ramp. To run Earthcrafts, yes, it does cycle, but you're running Feed the Forest. Maybe he's running Earthcrafts as a cycle instead of Feed the Forest, but I'm very interested to see, any card that tells us one way or another whether this is just a mono or whether it's a dual. Actually, that open makes me think that it's a mono rather than a green-blue ramp.
Mono green with whales. Who would have thought? I guess now the Tree of Life isn't that good, but still going up to all those forests, you can use stuff like Oak Father, Faeria Golem. The funny thing is, we've seen all these cards in blue-green ramp before, right? So
yeah, this still does not give us any information.
There's another green card. Come on, draw a blue card. or don't. I guess he could keep us guessing for the entire game.
Yeah, and continuing to build forest doesn't give us any indication either way because you're building towards that Therian Golem as quickly as possible. So if it is mono green, that is also a really good matchup. We've kind of talked about it throughout the day randomly that red does struggle against big creatures, and especially something like the Therian Golem. You really can pick up a lot of value with that creature against these weaker red creatures.
And Feed the Forest picked up the perfect time. Fagoro, thank you very much. You have confirmed to us that this is actually some form of blue or green ramp, but a 7/14 Faeria Golem sitting pretty there. Last night, maybe one of the only answers to it in these kind of decks, and not enough deserts right now. Maybe he doesn't even run it.
Yeah, I know Lou does have the training in hand, but because of the recent nerf to Flashwind, which we, figured out earlier in the day, Lou doesn't have access to go for what used to be a really strong play in this situation, which would have been Kaleem's training and Flashwind right now. Zip that brute right down to the orb, but I think you're going to have to play this in a way where you kind of just use your Brigand as fodder in this situation, and then you're setting up for some big movement with your brute next turn.
Very defensive Captain coming down. Not going to get much value with that 7 attack. It's going to be cleaned up clean by the Faeria Golem, and Earthcraft going to further accelerate these lands, get these lakes down, get Fagoro going very quickly. And there's a whale as well. This is already looking so good for Masaka.
Yeah, and there's the first lake coming down, so that's now the indication to Lou as well. Of course, we saw Fugaro in hand, but this is now Lou's first indication, okay, it is green-blue ramp. Up until that point, like we were saying, you really didn't know, just because this deck naturally goes to that many forests for the Therian Golem.
We see the Wood Elemental moving out the way. Now, this doesn't stop Kaleem's training Flashwind. The Brute is still going to get down there and be able to answer this Wood Elemental. It might have actually been better to move up one.
That's...
It stops the double collection.
Move up one... Sorry, I was going to say the same thing. The move up one does stop that double collection, but it plays into training, whereas this way he actually needs the Flashwind as well.
Yeah, I think he's correct here. Moving back one. Forcing his opponent to have both cards instead of one.
Cypher's Wrath picked up now doesn't do anything in this type of a matchup. It may be good later on with something like the remaining health on a Frog Tosser or the Frog Left Behind.
This Faeria Golem can die right now. Run the Cap 10 into the Faeria Golem, get the Gift of Steel the Shed and Brood, hit it for 6 and Flame Burst, and that's a dead Faeria Golem.
Yeah, that looks really nice. You don't have to go for the big movement play here.
Decides to go for it anyway.
This is actually a really good play as well. So Cap 10 can come down, and that gives you the Gift of Steel, that then the Brute survives the first combat hit.
And then trades. Very nice.
And then trades into the Therian Golem. So this is actually a really nice line spotted by Lou. This also puts your Cap 10 in an uncontested position.
Now, one nice thing about this as well is the Faeria Golem can't collect unless the Sky Whale swallows the Brute, but I think you're in a position right now where your Sky Whale is probably going to swallow the Cap 10 just to stop the generation of those Gift of Steels. Fugoro could come down into Leaping Fugu, but I don't think any player against Burn wants to leave a creature right next to their orb, so we're more likely to see the Sky Whale come down this turn.
I was actually going to say there, you could have swallowed the Brute and used the Therian Golem just steps up a space. The Sky Whale would have come down directly beside Lou's orb. That would have been 13 damage possibly represented next turn, but it leaves Cap 10 exposed right by your orb here. So I think there possibly was an aggressive line Misaka could have gone for, but goes for the safer play of just clearing everything.
And that is 3 events just to release the Cap 10 from its prison to make sure it can continue to apply that pressure. Now, Leaping Fugu could come down in the center, which would actually directly challenge the Cap 10 and trade off with it. But Gift of Steel already sitting in Lou's hand ready for that defense. Fugoro is an alternative as well if he wants to generate more resources.
Yeah, that was a lot of possible burn used out of Lou's hand as well, but of course using it just to free Cap 10, who's going to be very strong onto an empty board. Should be good enough to contest pretty much everything that Misaka potentially could play, regardless of what it is.
+1 into Leaping Fugu's very strong here, just sets up 2 creatures as good defenders, and to be fair, like, even if the Gift of Steel does come down, does push a lot of damage, but the combination of Leaping Fugu and the Frog Tosser will be enough to defend. Now, I'm curious of why it came down there and not... Oh, it's a lake, of course.
It has to be placed on the lake, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little awkward, actually. The forests at the start seem really good because we thought it was mono green, but now the lakes are kind of in a weird position. We can't play these lake creatures on the wells, which is actually really important.
Yeah, and 7 damage to the orb here for Lou. Picks up that extra Gift of Steel, so that now, of course, is quite a ways away, but Scourge Flame, Gift of Steel is lethal. Scourge Flame just by itself is almost good enough to be lethal, but Lou getting that orb hit in, while he can, instead of going for the more defensive clear a creature route.
So there's the Frog Tosser line opened up by that Feed the Forest. Can collect, doesn't even need to now, can just collect with Fugoro, feed the Fugoro, use the Sky Whale, swallow that up, and then maybe move aggressively with the Leaping Fugu. I think time is not on Masaka's side anymore. He needs to be a bit more aggressive and try and win as quickly as possible.
I almost wonder if you feed the Fugu instead, because you can get that hit in with Fuguro, but it probably makes more sense to, whether you're going to hit the orb or not, feed Fuguro instead of the Fugu, just because of the power of each creature.
But this doesn't stop Lou's win condition of Scourge Flame, Gift of Steel, apart from actually Lou just doesn't have enough Faeria for that anymore. He has to play more defensively.
Not necessarily a bad thing now because you've picked up the Brigand. It at least forces a reaction from one of these creatures from Misaka. Either delays the Sky Whale going aggressive, or it will trade, at least be traded into by one of these creatures, and that gives you that Faeria back. Needs the +1 there, because otherwise you will not get to your Scourge Flame next turn anyway, but looking for a situation where he had to slow down Misaka's aggression at least that one turn.
I think Frog Tosser is going to be enough to seal this game. You could Frog Tosser the Underground Brigand, then move the Skywhale up, hit for 6, create an aggressive land for the Fugu, and then the Fugu can go in for 5, and that will set up lethal for the following turn.
Yeah, and you've already seen a couple Cypher's Wraths used from Lu, so it's not like you're really concerned about the Frog Tosser and the Frog both being 2 life, where you're concerned of exactly what cleared the first Skywhale, which was Cypher's Wrath, and then Flame Burst would have been the 7 for lethal here. But Misaka going for the clear instead with the Fugu, but he's going to have the Therian Golem. This isn't way more than enough to be lethal next turn, and I don't think Lu can pick up anything. Oh, yeah. No, he's just that one Faeria short. I was trying to think if there was a way that you could get like a Flash Wind and get the extra collection, but you still need the extra Faeria before you get there. So, I mean, it has been the theme of today's Monthly Cup, a game of inches. Lu, with that Scourge Flame, would deal 5 this turn. And, I mean, has the Gift of Steel in hand that would be the extra that he needs for lethal, just doesn't have the Faeria for it.
So unfortunate for Lu.
Just shy on the damage that he needs to win the game.
That second Skywhale was checkmate there. Very difficult to come back from that. He had the lethal option in hand before, but as you can see, Scourge Flame coming down. Have a little peck with his beak at this opponent. Have a taste of blood, but not enough, unfortunately, to win this match.
All right, Misaka, will he go for... Yeah, he's just going to go for the attacks to end the game. I wasn't sure if he was going to style on Lu in any BM ways, but just makes the attack, takes the win.
Lu back against the wall once again. He's been in many situations in these grand finals where he's needed to come back to take that victory, secure his destiny as a Monthly Cup champion, but Misaka is standing in his way with only 1 game remaining to claim the championship. It's going to be a very difficult road ahead, but if anyone can do it, it's going to be Lu.
Yeah, definitely could be the way that we see it there. So just looking back through, see if I can find... That's 15. He won 2 late games in that one. And then I wouldn't have far enough back for the other there, but I was trying to see if I could pick up any pattern on the previous times that Lu finished second, of if he was in this type of a situation before and almost clawed back, but he's going to have to do it here. And this is exactly what you talked about of Misaka winning that first game, puts him in a better situation for the rest of the series. Of course, Lu answers really nicely with the burn, and then it's in Misaka's hands of, okay, I'm going to answer with this green-blue ramp. Now, even if Lu is able to win this game, Misaka then holds that final, he holds the final cards where he goes, okay, I have what I think is going to be the deck that wins.
And the land ramp is pretty matched here. Unfortunately for Lu, he doesn't have the creature that offers the additional land tiles, whereas Misaka has that double collector going into the next turn. The Wood Elemental ripped off the top there of that Earthcraft, and that's going to allow him to set up into double collection and even develop the Therian Golem on the follow-up.
Yeah, very quickly pushing those lands up. Situation now where it looks like Lu could get a Therian Golem right next to his opponent's orb next turn.
Yeah, Lu not wasting any time here. If he can get a 5/10 next to his opponent before these Skywhales are available, it's going to be able to apply a lot of pressure. Now, there is a Willow Feed combo sitting in the wings, but more land will need to be developed. I think the priority target right here, right now, is that Frog Tosser. Take care of that Wood Elemental in the double collection, and then have a Frog to start harvesting of his own, but it's going to take a little time before that can happen.
Another Earthcraft picked up. Yeah, still not going to have the Faeria for it. You could put the Living Willow down, but you probably save it all for one, where you can go Living Willow and feed in one turn. But both players just playing away from each other, getting their lands up in aggressive spots as quickly as possible.
Yeah, both players are just ignoring each other. It's like, Masaka's like, I want to win this tournament. I only have one game, let's go in. And Lou's like, I want to win this tournament. I'm going to go in too. I have a Faeria Golem. and ultimately, Lou has the better aggressive line. Simply because the Faeria Golem represents more power, especially with that Elderwood to back it up. But maybe the Frog Tosser can leverage things next turn, especially now that Masaka is at the Living Willow Feed the Forest combo. Getting a massive economy boost next turn.
Yeah, but just depends, is Lou going to go for that Therian Golem? Because if he goes for Therian Golem, even if it's Frog Tosser to clear the Wood Elemental, you're looking at a situation where you can then Elderwood Embrace, buff the Therian Golem up to a position where you could win the game in, 3 hits to the orb if you think you're in a strong enough position to do that.
Ooh, Water Elemental, 1 Faeria off being like the perfect line, setting up another double collector, and then going into the Faeria Golem. Now, Lou might feel that the aggression is not going to pay off anymore. Goes for the Elderwood Embrace to play around the Frog Tosser. Fantastic line from Lou, actually. Very good presence of mind there. Masaka has this Living Willow Feed combo, and this is going to snowball the economy in his favor. And we might even see a cheeky Skywhale come down.
Yeah, he is able to get to it this turn. That's a really big swing back in Masaka's favor. Of course, both players really just developing their lands early in the game. But before that Skywhale was picked up, it looked like this Water Rally for Lou would be very safe onto this side. That would allow him to then snowball either into the Therian Golem aggression or into a Skywhale of his own. And you can't, Skywhale a Skywhale that's already swallowed something. So that's very difficult for this style of deck to keep up with.
I was just about to say, I think the consideration here is, do you go for the free damage, which I don't think is even worth it at this point. I think the Faeria has more value. And then Skywhale in a more aggressive spot. Now, Skywhales are going to swallow Water Elementals each. Oh, he goes for the Elderwood. I was about to say, if he does an Elderwood here, Lou would have a worse off Skywhale. But the truth is, Lou doesn't even have the Faeria to match this Skywhale this turn.
Yeah, doesn't have the Faeria, doesn't have the lands. I think you just +1 Therian Golem. It seems pretty bad, but in this situation, you're far enough behind that I think you have to go for, trying to race your opponent here.
The question is, where do you play this Faeria Golem? Do you play it in a position where it can attack the Skywhale, or do you play it in double collection, hoping you maybe pick up a feed and some other cards to go along with it? I mean, at the end of the day, the problem Lou has now is he has no answers to Skywhale. He can't swallow a creature that's already swallowed a target. So this Skywhale has basically free reign on his life. And actually just goes for the clear on the Faeria Golem, so going in for a more passive play and taking complete control of the board, making sure no opposing Skywhales can be played.
Yeah, and even if the Skywhale is cleared here, it would take something like a Frog Tosser. Probably not going to see Deepwood Stalkers in here, so Lou just has to pass his turn, essentially. Masaka is able to take his time. There's a second Skywhale now, so no matter what comes out from Lou next, that Skywhale is going to be that much more of a threat. The Frog left behind by the Frog Tosser double collects. It's so much control for Masaka here.
Leaping Fugu as well, representing more threats, more damage going towards Lou's orb. This is looking like light sight for Lou. I don't know what he can do to come back. He doesn't have enough lands right now for a whale, so he can't even go draw a card, Faeria Golem, feed the forest into whale. That is not an option, so might have to just develop a land, swallow the Fugu, and cross his fingers.
I just don't think it's enough, unfortunately, at this stage. I think if you are going for the swallow, you swallow the Water Elemental rather than the Fugu, because then if Masaka is going to clear, he's got to use the Fugu and the Frog, and that both of those creatures die rather than the Water Elemental surviving as a 5/1, but going to go for the hopeful Therian Golem. We see the Skywhale in hand, and that's going to be enough. That's going to be Masaka clearing the Therian Golem. Skywhale steps up and it'll develop the land.
Fugu jumps over the Sky Whale, pushing an additional 5 damage to find that lethal. And that is all she wrote for Lou and his monthly cup dreams. And Masaka is our new champion.
Masaka taking it in a very convincing final game in just the second monthly cup appearance, all the way to the grand finals, all the way to first place, and Lou forever second, forever unlucky, number 2.
You know what? Lou actually promised a shirtless stream if he won the monthly cup today. It's never going to happen, guys. Never going to happen. It's gone. The shirtless stream is over. And unfortunately, Lou not able to claim a monthly cup title, but he shouldn't be disappointed. He's probably one of the most consistent players we've ever had. I'd probably place our most consistent players as like Mayhem, Lou, Sweetie, King Dan's. You know, he's had a lot of final places, and even Alvar now. And I think that's actually something to be very proud of in a card game. You know, there's card games have variance at the end of the day. There's no 100% win ratios because variance does play a role and it affects everyone. It doesn't affect anyone specifically. So although Lou may feel like, he lost out on this opportunity to win a monthly cup, I think he should still be very proud with how well he's performed over the last couple of years, but also, coming to monthly cups with different decks all the time. He's just like such a diverse player with what he can play. He can play every archetype, every color. Fantastic player, but Masaka, very impressive. Getting a win now from Japan, and we had South Korea take a win last month. Asia is on the rise in Faeria.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's so cool to continue to see all of the new countries make appearances, see the old countries that are still around. Of course, we still have such a big showing from the French community every single month. And it's just the consistency of the countries' communities as well as the individual players.
Yeah, fantastic representation from all around the world in our final monthly cup of this year. And 17 monthly cups. 17 months of competitive Faeria with players playing at the highest level. We've had players like King Dan's and Modnik making waves, Sweetie as well, the old guard of Faeria coming from the early access period going into release, and then new and up and coming players once Faeria was released, like Alvar. We had Uriel be damned, making his appearance as well. The Asian communities, Masaka, SKC, Happy Joe. We have so many names. There's so many great players in this game, and to be fair, this game is highly competitive. The being a top level player in this game is really something to be proud of because it's complex, and understanding those complexities takes a lot of skill, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as you talk about the old guard and then the players that we've seen since 1.0, you can kind of throw Lou into both sides of it. He's been around for so long as part of that old guard, played in, so many monthly cups, but then really didn't break through until this year after 1.0, and then has just, kept up that consistency ever since.
He's kept at it, and and the results show. I mean, you could say, he never won a monthly cup, but King Dan's never won a monthly cup, and he was one of the most successful players we've ever had in the game, from winning back-to-back ESLs every week and, performing very well at the start of Faeria's competitive lifespan, which was in the Game's Origin tournament, where he beat Life Coach in the finals. And Life Coach, he grinded hard on that mono green. He was playing a lot. But King Dan's, just showing that he was a very strong player back then, and he still dabbles now, not as competitive as he once was. But yeah, I think our monthly cups have been absolutely wonderful throughout the last year and a half, just over a year and a half now. Oh no, just under a year and a half. My brain. 12 months?
Over, yeah.
Yeah, so just over a year and a half now.
Because the first one was June of 2016, was the first season of a monthly cup, I believe.
Oh yeah, and then we had, I believe we had a break the 1 December as well, much like we did this year. So, I think there's a gap there.
We had a gap in the February season. As the ramp up towards 1.0, we had the Battle of the Gods.
Yes, I remember that. yeah, it's just been absolutely fantastic. I don't know if Atmaz is about. Are you here, dude? I was wondering if Atmaz has any final words on the monthly cup. His baby, Atmaz, has been behind the scenes, making sure the brackets are in check, making sure the players are around, really bringing together the monthly cup off the stream. He's been a huge part in this, in the competitive Faeria scene of developing it, pushing ideas and stuff like that. So, and also giving you some fantastic casting for third places for months and months, always third place.
Once all of his admin duties have slowed down for the day, he's able to jump in and help us out with the third place match.
All right. Any final thoughts, Scorch, before we head out?
I don't have any. Today was another great tournament. Of course, I think we could have really seen anybody win with the state of games that we saw being so close throughout the course of the day. The closest that I can ever remember seeing in terms of games decided by, sometimes a single life point on the orb or a single Faeria here and there. Very, very close, very well played by so many great players today. Always nice to see new players step up their game and bring out a very impressive performance in Misaka, and of course Mr. T making it all the way into the fourth place final. I'm hoping that we can get some kind of cool stats together for you guys of the monthly cup history. Of course, I have a lot of tracking that I do in behind the scenes of the players' performances. So I'm hoping that we can put something cool together for that. But have to be a group effort with Atmaz and I.
Yeah, it's getting those stats down. You've picked up some interesting stats along the way, like tendencies of players, like stuff like what they get up to.
Yeah, that's something that I want to continue to work for in the upcoming the competitive side of Faeria. Is I want to do kind of more in depth as well. Of course, in the past, it's basically been very basic tracking. I just look at the bracket. Here's who they played and what the score was. So we get a general score line each time, and we can set up the actual matchup of how players do against each other. But I'm going to start, translating that into what decks were played, performance on, player 1, player 2, that sort of thing, and try to get some of those tendencies so that we have even more stats to go forward. Something that I really love hearing in, esports production. So it's something that I want to continue to bring for the competitive scene of Faeria going forward.
Yeah, these stats are really interesting, especially if you want to see how players perform overall over like a lot of tournaments. I mean, one tournament, it's hard to gauge a player's performance based on one tournament unless they generally get into top 4. But we've had players who have gotten to top 4 and then not been in top 4 for a very long time. I remember Donport got top 4 like early on in Faeria, like maybe within the first 10 monthly cups, and we saw him keep playing, but not much movement in terms of getting back into that top 4. Then all of a sudden he wins a monthly cup. So he carried on playing, he carried on putting the work in, and then it did pay off in the end with a full monthly cup win.
Yeah, it's always cool to see when you go, okay, you see a player, especially back in the days when we had the ESL. Something that we talked about, I think it was Aya who did a lot, played in like the ESL every month, and then started to turn that into qualifier play, and then actually qualified for a monthly cup, and then turn that into a deep run to actually win a monthly cup. So it was really cool to see that kind of ramp up from a player, which we don't get to see from other competitive players now, because you are really unsure of how long they've been playing, because we only get when they started into qualifiers.
Yeah, and there's also ladder play plays a big part in these players getting into the monthly cup, and ladder is incredibly competitive at the top 10. It's just usually 1 or 2 elo sometimes between like someone qualifying and someone not qualifying. We've had players with multiple accounts trying to guarantee they get their spot in the monthly cup because they want to participate. Amaz, how's it going, man? Are you here?
Hello. Yes.
We're just wrapping up the finals. We had our first Japanese player taking the championship from Lou, who sadly is forever second as far as monthly cups are concerned.
Forever second. He had 17 tries. He couldn't do it once. I'm just kidding. He obviously hasn't been in all 17 cups. But yeah, 17 monthly cups. This is the last one that we're going to do in this exact style, this exact format and structure. The last official tournament of the year for Faeria, so we can all enjoy the holidays here. And next year, we're going to hit the ground running with a whole new system for you. We know everyone wants to know a lot of or more specifics and details about it, but of course, we'll be announcing that with plenty of time for you to prepare for it. And yeah, so I mean, we're excited to mix things up. The monthly cup, we've loved it. It's been great. We've had a lot of great tournaments and a lot of just the monthly cup spawns a lot of interesting things that help us make the game better and also attract people to the game and get people talking about it. So we like what the monthly cup does, but we want to improve our system, and we're going to do this based on both what we've had as far as feedback from players and viewers, and improve it as much as we can for next year. And we say the monthly cup is ending and it's the last monthly cup, but it's not that the official Faeria tournaments are ending. In fact, it's the opposite. It's growing, it's getting bigger structure-wise. So we're all excited for that. That's all I have to say very much, other than thanks everyone for watching, of course, and enjoying all the eggs and gold and Pandora coins and all that stuff that you always get. And hope your egg hatches into something nice. And thank you, Aquabot and Scorch, as always, for doing a fantastic job casting. And of course, not only does Aquabot cast, but he runs the production. So it's like doing 10 jobs at once. And you guys have been, Aquabot's been here for, I think, the majority of them, and Scorch as well. So look forward to what comes next.
Exciting times ahead of us going into 2018. Like Ahmad said, the competitive scene here for Faeria is evolving and growing into something much bigger, and it's very exciting to see where it goes in next year. And I hope you guys are still as excited to watch and participate in our tournaments. So until next time, which will be in 2018, I hope you all have a fantastic holidays, Christmas and a New Year. And yeah, we'll see you in 2018. Take care, guys.